Afternoon Adventurers. It's time for another quick dip. You can tell because I'm wearing my swim trunks, and that's a pun. It's time to go over Cunning Action today, a level 2 class feature that lets you dash, disengage, or hide as a bonus action. So let's dive right in. Now, being able to do these things as a bonus action instead of an action allows you to do whatever it is you normally do in combat, but also position yourself in a much better way. This is really good for melee builds, for when you are too far away from the enemies at the start of combat, or too far away from the enemy that you most want to hit. For example, if you're maybe within your 30-foot movement of the front line, but you want to go to the back and hit their casters and archers, you can dash as a bonus action to get there. Alternately, if you get surrounded at the start of your turn and have enemies on most sides, but there's still an open space, you can disengage as a bonus action to run past them to whoever it is that you actually want to hit. I cannot even enumerate the times that I have been a melee character and been too far away from something that I want to be within 5 feet of, or in some cases 10 feet with a polearm, and having Cunning Action would have alleviated those problems so much. It's not a dip for everyone, I acknowledge that, but mobility can be a really big part of melee combat. That's why the monk excels so much. And I mention the monk because they already have the ability to dash and disengage as a bonus action, although it costs them a key point. So if you want to multiclass a little bit of rogue, you do get Cunning Action, and you can do those things for free whenever you want, and that'll free up your key points for things like Flurry of Blows, so even better. I also really like this for fighters because they don't always have something to do with their bonus action on their turn, so being able to open up by running straight into the enemy line can be real good. Additionally, you can, if you're the athletic type, run up, use one of your attacks to grapple somebody and drag them out of position, either toward your party if it's someone you want to take out quickly like a spellcaster, or just out of a defensive position. And if you can dash as a bonus action, you can move that creature even farther. Keeping in mind, of course, that when you have a creature grappled, unless it's 2 sizes smaller than you, it will have your movement. So with your 30-foot movement speed, that's basic for each race. If you dash as a bonus action, you'll be able to drag someone an extra 15 feet, which is pretty significant. Melee builds aren't really going to make use much of the hide feature in Cunning Action, but that's okay. The other two make it pretty well worth it, in my opinion. Where the hide comes in more is with ranged builds. Now, of course, this is already prominent in ranged rogues, where you hide and then pop out an attack with advantage. You can do that with any ranged weapon-based class or any ranged spell-based class, keeping in mind that it's only attack rolls that get advantage, and spells that impose a saving throw on your enemy are unaffected. They won't get advantage, or disadvantage, I mean. They sure won't get advantage if you're hidden. Unless you have that, I believe it's level 7 Arcane Trickster feature, which that's not even a dip at that point. Basically, hiding doesn't give disadvantage on the enemy saves. But it will give you advantage on attack rolls with things like Guiding Bolt or Chromatic Orb. So that's worth keeping in mind, and could be worth some bonus actions. But mostly I would say the hide is important for ranged characters to shoot on their turn and then hide so that during the rest of the round they aren't targetable by creatures who can't, see them, can't detect them. So that'll help keep you safe if you're a squishy caster or some such. Otherwise, being able to disengage as a ranged character is very important to get away from an enemy that's run up to you and not having disadvantage on your ranged attacks against them or against someone else. So that alone is pretty well worth it. I will say I have played a sorcerer, I have a sorcerer in Adventures League, who's a goblin who can disengage as a bonus action as a goblin feature, and that has come in useful so many times, just every session, essentially. It's super duper good. And of course, being able to dash will always get you more freedom to get into position to cast the spells that you want to cast, especially those that only have a range of maybe 30 feet, or even touch range spells. You can move an extra distance to deliver those. Now, the dash from Cunning Action also pairs pretty well with any bonus to your movement speed, whether that's from a spell like Longstrider or Haste, a magic item like Boots of Speed, or even a feat like Mobile, and also benefits pretty well from climbing, swimming, and flying speeds that your character might have, whether from a racial benefit or a class feature, or another feat like Athlete. Technically doesn't give you a climb speed, but does make it not cost extra movement to climb, so that bonus action dash will carry you even farther in those cases. Sort of a fringe benefit, but the hide action as a bonus action also benefits the Skulker feat, which allows you to hide even if you're only lightly obscured instead of heavily obscured. This can also be done by wood elves who are lightly obscured by natural phenomena such as fog or dense overgrown foliage that maybe doesn't hide a person completely. The Skulker feat, or being a wood elf, would allow you to hide in those situations as a bonus action. And of course, it's worth noting, as a level 2 rogue, you will also have access to expertise in 2 of your skills, or one of your skills and thieves' tools. This can always be a very valuable skill to have. So if your party doesn't already have someone who's very good at picking locks, it's worth picking that choice. Of course, stealth is also a good pick, especially if your party doesn't already have a rogue or a bard with expertise who can do reconnaissance. Taking that 2-level dip in rogue can make you that person. Otherwise, just pick 2 skills that your character has proficiency in that you want to be really good at. Expertise will make you even better. I would highlight athletics for this, because athletics is used to grapple, of course, and if you are something like a fighter or barbarian or anyone based on strength, really, having expertise is going to make you very hard to escape. Of course, any skill you choose, you're going to be better at with expertise, so whatever fits your character is what you should go with. Also, with a single level, or 2 levels in our case, of rogue, we get access to a 1d6 sneak attack if we're using ranged weapons or finesse weapons. Not every build will, and that's about it for Cunning Action. There are other things you can do with certain subclasses with your Cunning Action. Maybe I'll circle back around to those later, but they're a bit beyond the scope of this video. So, for now, I will say farewell, and thanks for watching, and have some fun playing D&D. Yeah. Peace.